How was y'all popping boss reaction to this video? This is ex-mob boss rates 13 Mafia movie scenes. How real is it? This should be funny. I want to see what he has to say about these mob movies and, if it correlates to what happened, in his experience as a mob boss. Is he going to be honest, though? Is he going to spill the tea? That's the real question. Let's see what he got to say. Let's watch.
If a mob boss was ever visiting a psychiatrist, he'd be in the trunk of his car by the end of the week, along with a psychiatrist. That would never happen. My name is Michael Francis, and I was a former capo in the Colombo crime family, one of the five New York Mafia and Cosa Nostra families. I'm now residing in the Los Angeles area, and I'm here to be a movie critic.
I never seen the guy. This facts.
This would never happen. First of all, there's too much work involved in this, You got so many guys. Usually mob hits are not done like that. I mean, they're normally done in close range, small caliber guns and shotguns being used. I never saw anything like this before. I know back in the 20s they used machine guns. Tommy guns was the term back then. But to me, this scene seems to be unrealistic.
Oh, Mr. Bajet. Hey, Easter weekend, huh?
There was always a guy of that size. In every crew and every family, there was always somebody that big that was around. Italians eat a lot, and some of them get real big. I doubt you'd ever see this many people. The last time something like this occurred was Appalachia, back in New York, when guys from all over the country came in. I think they probably modeled this scene after that. Ever since law enforcement invaded that meeting, it never happened again. And that I know for a fact.
We're both part of the same hypocrisy.
Oh, he's so young.
But never think it applies to my family.
Well, all right. Some people have to play little games.
We infiltrated society at every level, from the guy on the street in the numbers business right up to the White House. And you would never see a politician talk to us like that because most of them we supported. And I'm wondering if I would have been able to stay calm. Which was the right thing to do.
I know it was you, Fredo.
His kiss of death, that was a Sicilian thing, I believe, and certainly something that might have happened in Italy. This is a scene that, that became close to me because I have a brother that actually turned informant and testified against my dad and actually tried to hurt me and went into the witness protection program. Haven't seen him in 10 years. It's very hard to bear, hard to deal with. Since I walked away from that life and basically, violated my oath just by walking away, not that I ever hurt anybody, but just by walking away, contract on my life, the whole bit. Did you ever worry about your family? And my answer is no. We didn't go after law enforcement. We didn't bother anybody's family. That was hands off. In Italy, they go after your family, law enforcement. I mean, there's no rules when it comes to stuff like that.
Can you do it with your left hand?
Casino.
Well, I never tried. So you're right. Yeah.
Shouldn't have said that, brother.
I can tell you this scene is not unrealistic because, in a mob-run casino, we certainly wouldn't have tolerated anybody cheating like that. So it could have been this. I mean, he'd break somebody's legs, put him in a hospital. Even though this is Lefty Rosenthal, he wasn't a made member, but he was an associate, but he dressed the part. De Niro and Gotti and, even myself, we dressed up pretty good. Every weekend, I was at weddings and funerals. Half the time, I didn't know who died or who was getting married, but we had to go as a matter of respect. So we had to dress up quite a bit. I mean, I probably had 50 suits at that time.
Like Raquel Welch's one great piece of ass, forget about it. But then, if you disagree, like a Lincoln is better than a Cadillac, forget about it.
And I got to tell you this is probably one of the most realistic scenes in all of mob moviedom. It's funny, I'm a speaker now, and every time I say forget about it, which I say by habit, people laugh. This scene made that word famous. It applies to everything, just like the sit down. Anytime you had any kind of meeting, it was always at a sit down. Had to sit down and discuss, a life and death matter. We had to sit down just to have dinner. Everything was done at a sit down.
Well, I can't think of his name.
An entry in my book. That's all. You're just the guy who owes me money.
Johnny Depp.
Right.
It's number one, it's the perception that this person is a serious guy that can, maybe hurt you. And that intensifies that look, because I know a lot of times, people said, hey, all you got to do is look at somebody and they get nervous. Travolta, I thought, killed this role. A lot of mob guys, myself being one of them, got involved in entertainment. Travolta took it to another level, wanting to be a director and whatever it was. We were more or less behind the scenes, financing some of these things, getting to know some of the people, some of the perks involved with it. Really, that was it.
And you had Nicky Eyes.
What's up, guy?
And Mikey Francesi.
Yeah, now, I don't think he really looked like me. I'll be honest with you. I was in the theater. I had just gotten out of prison, and I went to see this with my wife. And after a few minutes, she looked at me and she said, is this really what you guys did? Is that what your life was all about? And I said to her, honey, come on, it's a movie. They make things up, don't pay attention. No sooner do I say that than they introduce my character, and she looks at me and I said, come on, we got to go. And I walked out because I didn't know why they put me in. It was a different crew.
It's Frankie the Wop. Freddie No Nose.
People say, well, how'd you come up with those nicknames? Like there was a guy that we called Chicken Head, and the reason we called him that because he used to shoot the head off of chickens when he was practicing his marksmanship. We had Benny Eggs. Well, why'd you call him Benny Eggs? Well, he liked eggs. He ate them all the time. So we weren't really original with the names. We had Fat Tony Salerno. Why'd you call him Fat Tony? Well, he was fat.
What do you mean funny? Funny how? How am I funny?
Just...
They made Henry out to be a lot more significant in the life than he really was. He was just a lost soul. He always had a drug problem, alcohol problem. For me, Joe Pesci is the best portrayer of any mob guy. He was around street guys. He knew guys on the street, and he just had it down so perfectly.
I like him.
Hey, put your eyes up.
Most of the local police, they didn't bother us. It was really the FBI and, investigative agencies like that, especially the feds. I doubt if anybody, even though he was protecting his son, would ever come right out front like that and look to put people on Front Street, so to speak. Front Street, in other words, you're telling the police that, one of these guys might be guilty of doing something. So you're actually, in mob terms, you're becoming a rat or a snitch, and, you pay a price for that.
Here's about $30. That's all he's got on him, Michael. Where's the rest? Yeah, where's the rest?
Well, I bought a few rounds of drinks over here while I was waiting.
This whole shylocking scene, very accurate. Shylocking, loan sharking, basically lending money at usurious rates. And everybody that was in that life was in that business that had any money. He plays these roles good. I think today, the way De Niro's acting, he thinks he really is a mob guy. It's kind of permeated his whole being and his character.
He plays so many. He looks so young in there.
Where'd you
It's
get
crazy
that
seeing
truck?
him that young.
It fell off a truck.
The Simpsons.
Truck.
A lot of things fell off a truck. That was the expression that we used, whether it be clothing, electronics, cars, whatever. Hijacking was a big thing back in the day, no question about it. There were some guys that were professional hijackers. Today, it's very difficult, but it was a lot easier to change the serial numbers and make a new car out of it. Nobody could really find it, so.
Let's get out of here. Come on.
I'm a little bit jaded when I look at this
terrible.
film, only because I know that the Sheerhan story is fiction. He didn't kill Hoffa. I didn't know Jimmy Hoffa personally, but it was during my time. But I do have insight into, what really happened there. He was a hot-headed guy, and he was one of the most powerful guys in the country at that point. Remember this, you control the Teamsters in a big way, you control the country. Number one, you got zillions of dollars in your pension funds. You call a strike as a Teamster, you got 2.5 million people stopping. Nothing gets delivered, everything stops, and that's a tremendous amount of power. The Joey Gallo killing, that was, because I know, for a fact what happened there. Like I said, that was our time, and, I was in the middle of that. I wasn't a shooter, don't get me wrong, but I knew it was our family. For him to be so, spoken about doing that. It was just so wrong. I mean, the scene was accurate. I mean, he did get killed in that way. He did get out into the street, and they did get him there, and his family was there, the whole thing. But Sheehan wasn't the shooter.
You are, in effect, the mayor of Chicago. You've not simply been appointed to that position.
I mean, he certainly looked the part. You know, everybody looks at Capone like he was a 40, 50-year-old guy. He was like 29 years old. He was in his 30s when he passed away, I think. You know, Capone was bigger than life in the movies. He wasn't bigger than life with us. I mean, nobody really regarded him. You know, even my father said, you know, we chased him out of Brooklyn. He went to Chicago. I mean, my father's 103. So he was around all of these guys. You know, unfortunately, I get asked about all the time is about murder in that life. And I will tell you this, murder was taken very seriously, okay? It can only be approved by the boss. So I've been very, very fortunate to be here where I am now and not dead or in prison like just about all of my associates.
That pushed that hairline back on him.
If a mob boss was ever visiting a psychiatrist, he'd be in the trunk of his car by the end of the week, along with a psychiatrist. That would never happen.
Don't do it! Don't do it! My arm!
There's no way in the world, if a mob boss hit anybody, that guy would come back and hit. No way, especially in front of all. If he did, you don't ever raise your hand to a made guy, no matter who you are. You raise your hand to a made guy, you're dead. And so, and they know that. So this is not a realistic scene. So David Chase gets in touch with me through a friend of mine, Jack Gelati at ICM, and he says, look, I'm doing this series for Fox, and we want you to be involved as a consultant. And I said, you know, I'm on parole and all this stuff and things, so I turned it down. That's how smart I am, right? The Sopranos. But I always wondered why he contacted me. In my house back in the 60s when it was being built, the government, the FBI, installed a bugging device. They had it in the kitchen of our house, and they picked up a lot of the conversation on a daily basis. And I am telling you that Tony Soprano's mother was so much like my mother. You know, maybe he got the Freedom of Information Act, maybe he did something, but he got a hold of that surveillance tapes, and he patterned that woman on my mother. And I said, I'd tell you, I would almost stake my life on it. I never had a chance to talk to him about it.
One other thing, though. John said he went to a cookout at your house. Yeah. Don doesn't wear shorts.
That's not true at all. I mean, I saw, you know, on a hot summer day in Harlem, you know, guys would sit out in front of their social clubs and they'd be in shorts, even the boss. I mean, you know, that's not true. I mean, you go on a boat, you're in shorts. Or maybe somebody told them that, you know, didn't know what they were talking about, but that's not true.
I never seen this friend. Damn, that's wild. They bugged his house and then made this whole character based on his mama. Like, what? He like, nah, I know y'all did that. This was interesting. Interesting getting his take on these very popular mob movies. I've seen quite a few of these, but some of these I've never even heard of. I need to look them up. Mob movies be hella interesting. I'm about to look some of these up. Y'all let me know what y'all thought, though, and I'll see y'all in the next one.